Thank you to the whole university to bring me here. It's great to be here. It's the first time in Valencia. It's a beautiful city. I had an awesome evening at the Gulliver Park and I was sliding a lot. I'm very happy to be here because Moises and I, we know each other since 2008 actually, because in 2008 I founded Amaze with Michael Liebe together. Michael Liebe, he was working in Potsdam at the university and he was very much connected as well to other universities. I'm more kind of the artist guy and I took over this Amaze thing after 2010, but Moises and Michael Liebe, they had this kind of connection and they already were in discussion, and Moises was 2009 and 10 at the Amaze Festival and also did a talk and also was part of a panel. Since then he was never be back, but hopefully in the future he will when he has time. Do you understand me very good? So my English is with a German accent, so it's maybe it's helpful, I don't know. First my question is, who did a game already in this room? Just to get an idea of, okay, cool. Who is a game study maybe? Who writes and reflects on the media game? Just you? I'm also not reflective. So I like playing games and I chose this medium 2008 for me as kind of a medium where I want to learn a little bit more about technology and as well how we can use playful technology nowadays. This is the summer logo, so that's why we also brought a watermelon. So when we have the Q&A, we want to eat some watermelon. I think we have 60 minutes, right? 60 minutes something, and then we have some Q&A. So even when you have in between some questions, just let me know. Yeah, so just start. This is my name, Thorsten Wiedemann, and I'm a founder and director of the Amaze Festival. And actually I started in 2006 with video games because a friend of mine sent me to GDC, it's the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, and he asked me, hey, you want to do some videos and ask questions to the game developers. And actually I had no clue about video games at this time. I was playing in the 80s because now I'm 46, so I had all these kind of arcade times, but also in Germany you don't have this arcade time like you have in Spain. You are playing a lot of more games than us. So C64 was the thing at my place, but also my parents didn't like video games, so I had no own computer, but my friends had. So, and then I went to GDC for the first time. I met all these kind of crazy people who are making all these worlds, and it was very interesting for me, but somehow I didn't like the industry. And all this kind of talk about products, this is something what was not my thing so much. But then I encountered the independent game scene for the first time. IGF, it's the Independent Games Festival, huge award, it's the Oscar of the indie games. And I just met people who are kind of likewise talking about art and celebrating art and games and kind of different way of thinking, a different philosophy. And then I was thinking, hey man, there's nothing actually in Germany and there's nothing in Europe who is actually making something like that happen, or even I didn't know. So I was more in this kind of media art field, Ars Electronica, Transmediale, but I just discovered that independent game developers are actually artists. They are doing crazy stuff. I mean, they have something to say, they're telling stories. And even in 2007, when I encountered this scene for the first time, it was like, whoa, this is something what moves on. This is a movement. This will start soon as a movement. And then I started with Amaze Festival. And now we are established since 2008, and Amaze promotes and celebrates authorship and artistic cultural value of the most emergent art form of the 21st century. That sounds very cheesy, but it is actually. This is actually something what I believe in, and there's a lot of more potential in the future. And then we also think, because we always did festivals and events and something like that, and, but the magazine is something where I also see that a lot of people were reading the magazine. It's good, because I mean, this is something, I was thinking, we have to ask the right questions and also let the people contribute who are actually doing games, how they think about what they do and bring it into context, into a complex discourse maybe. Not so much game studies, but more like talking about what you really like, what is the passion, and then we have a topic and people are talking about it and writing something and making art, and this is something what is kind of, it's a little festival on paper, and this is something what I liked the idea, and so we did already this kind of 5 issues. It was mostly at game conferences like GDC and Gamescom, people can pick it up. I stopped it now, it's freezed now for a moment. Now I'm looking for a distributor that actually this is not only a conference paper, because I think that more people outside want to read something like that, because it's super interesting what people have to tell, and it's very reflected especially on the contemporary way of thinking, what is technology and how is the digital society working. And definitely games is one of the media what embraces this digital culture and in a playful way. So no limitations, out of the box thinking. This is something what happens as well in the magazine. And I'm just throwing some stuff out to you. So what I had some ideas in the plane and also when I was walking around to Valencia. So art isn't decoration, and art is a discourse, and it presents in a dialogue with the past. So for me, it's very important to also reflect everything what we do on paper or in the festival. So future isn't existing, but can form the future with our deeds and with the decision we make. Art is a mindset, and everyone can contribute to art if she embraces humanity and nature. Nature is the core of our existence. We only can enjoy technology if we respect our nature, and I mean our nature as a human. So, and that's why we need people, you know? I mean, of course, everybody's playing around and using all this kind of digital toys and games, but I mean, it's very important that we gather together, that we come together, and festival is the best chance. I mean, a lot of people know there's Gamescom, GDC, and all this kind of very important events, but none of the events are actually really celebrating. There's more kind of a product show, or it's more like a business thing, you know? And I think it's very important to actually celebrate the content by itself and as well the people. And this is why I want to make a festival what I like to go. I also have to go to GDC to make my business, to meet business people and also to run the festival. But this is not my festival, actually. This is not what I like to where I like to be, you know? And for me, it's very important to have something where art comes together, where also music comes together, where it's a nice atmosphere, where it's not always this kind of, oh, I have a meeting now, I have a meeting there. Just hang out, drink with the people, play games, listen to great talks. This is something, I like this kind of atmosphere, what is more relaxing and informal. So we do the festival in Berlin. It was just in April. And in Johannesburg in 2017, we don't have a design right now for 2017. But the Amaze Festival in Johannesburg is also running since 2012. And it's very important that we went there because, I mean, since then we made this bridge, which is a two-way bridge that African game developers come to Amaze Berlin. They also find new game developers to collaborate. They also find publishers. I mean, this is something, Amaze helps as well in some regions to make game design and game communities visible. That's also why in the next 2 days, they're going to go to Kosovo, to Pristina, and make their game jam, workshops, something like that. Even when there's just 1 or 2 people or we do it in an e-sport bar. I was completely against it to do my festival or my pop-up in an e-sport bar, but because I don't like e-sports so much. And, but they said, yeah, it's cool to be there. And I said, yeah, let's do it. But maybe people also want to make games. Maybe they just come over it and say, hey, it's better to make games and send out a message and be something like a game designer in the future. So this is the festival, what was in Berlin a month ago. And I just want to show you the video. That you get an idea. I don't know if anybody be at the Amaze Festival already? And how many game festivals you have in Spain or something similar? Nothing? Not at all? I mean, you have in Bilbao or somewhere some kind of stuff, no?
We have just business.
Just business? No cool shit? So you need an Amaze festival? So let's see. We could do something in Valencia, right? Yeah, cool. So I just rolled the video that you get an idea of the mood of Amaze. It was really amazing. 2017, Amaze 2017 in Berlin was really, really good. We had a lot of new people here. We had 1,200 people coming to the festival, professionals, game developers, digital artists, musicians. And I think this year was also the year where we were talking about games and how to make money. So I think we made a statement this year, which is very, very important, that we can grow our community and that we can do whatever we want and whatever we want to do. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a great festival. I really enjoyed it myself, and I think you definitely should come next year. So let's see if there are any ways to bring you. Maybe Institut Cervantes can make this happen, that also we can have some travel budget for Spanish game developers, especially when you want to present some games at the festival. So, I mean, it's all about the community, you know, you want to grow. And I think also what I said at the end, we want to make money, because, I mean, this is why we can sustain. You know, when we make a little bit of money, we can sustain. It's not that we want to get rich and want to make a big studio or something like that, but, I mean, there are a lot of people who are actually super passionate to make something small, great, or even bigger games in a small team. And it's not about getting whatever billions of dollars. It's more like just sustain and do your passion and follow up. And there's not, we have in Germany some funding. I don't know if you have in Spain some funding for video games. But I mean, still, there's time to improve it more. And that actually all this kind of art house or art style games also get funded, that we have more of this kind of diverse different games, what we should have, as we have as well in movies. You know, you have the blockbusters, the AAA, and we have the indie games and the indie movie or the art house movie. And I think it's time that we also have to think about that in the future. So it was a good start to talking about that. We also have some funding workshops, how to get EU funding and everything. So it's not the main topic I want to target at the Amaze Festival, but definitely is something we should talk and invite as well some publishers that they also see, hey, this is something I should have as well, maybe on Switch, you know, something like that. Yeah, it's done. Thank you. No. No. I was watching last time the new documentary about this German artist, Joseph Beuys. Probably all of you know Joseph Beuys. And it was pretty inspiring. It was a very, very good documentary. Definitely, if you have a chance, watch it. It's undertitled in English, so it's very good. And he said something like that talks a kind of a teamwork thing, right? And you have to go into this kind of talk with a question. And it's the first time I do something like that. So the title is, it's no question, fucking hell. So, artists can't make games, game designers can't make art. Yes? Yes? No. Cool. But in a way, I don't care, actually. I really don't care. Because, I mean, it's, this is something you shouldn't care. Because, I mean, what does it mean when somebody has a long game design history, or is an artist or whatever, a musician or whatever? It's important that his guy is doing a game and try to express himself in this kind of medium, right? I mean, it's, of course, I believe then we're getting older and more reflected and you have more skills, that maybe the games are getting better. But still, I think everybody can make a kind of a meaningful content and put it into a game. And this is something what matters, I think. And everything what you put into the game is something what is your life experience, is something what you read in books, in films. You get all the time inspired. It's not your grand idea or something like that, but it's, I mean, something what connects and something like that. I don't believe that it has to be an artist or it has to be a game designer who makes games. I mean, this is something what is just a label, and actually, I don't care. I just want to see good games at the end. So, have games cultural value? What do you think? Sure. Sure. But actually, if you're a game designer and an artist, you should give a fuck. I mean, just do what you want. It doesn't matter if it has cultural value, right? I mean, it's something what other people, lobbyists, are saying. People who want to create this kind of funding system or something like that, they have to have this kind of language. Oh yeah, it's cultural value. I mean, it's inside the society already and something like that. People understand what is games and stuff like that. But in a way, you as a creator, I mean, you create games to make a cultural value game, right? I mean, it would be the complete wrong approach. You make a game because you like to make that game, actually just that game. And this is something what, just imagine, I was just writing down or something like that. Imagine Basquiat, yeah? He's doing art because he knows that he's hanging in the future in the museum and art studies are gonna reflect on his work. So he never gave a shit. He'd take a lot of drugs, you know? I mean, he was actually completely fucked, but he had good skills and he had an idea, you know? And he made something what was completely new in this time. And this is something what an artist is doing. He is creating something what is out of the box, what is not mainstream, what is something what is really himself. And yeah. And our games art. Yes. Same here. I mean, this discussion is so old, and it will never find an end, right? I mean, of course, some games are art, but actually it's an art form, right? It's not art, it's an art form, where a lot of stuff comes together, and maybe some kind of stuff like Pipin Bar is doing, maybe some of you guys know this name, a game developer from New Zealand. He works as well with the concept of Marina Abramovic to this kind of connection. And I mean, maybe this kind of stuff is art. Maybe this is something what you can put into the Y cube. But in the end, do you care if it's art? I mean, you actually want to do something and somebody else is choosing for you. This is art. I'm going to buy it because this is art. I'm going to buy it because it's a video game. And this is something, it's your idea and it's your path. This is nothing else. Make your own philosophy around. And there will be never a big definition for it because everything is in fluxus. Everything is in fluxus. It will change. In 5 years, everything is going to be different. So no. Then I was seeing that, right? I mean, in Facebook, and I was posting something like that because this is Pink Floyd, and they made this big show in I don't know where, but I mean it was in the States, and it was kind of this climate change thing and climate congress, and Trump just went out, and actually he said he made this on a big stage, so something like that. And I mean, it's kind of the thing, what you have to do is be contemporary. As an artist, be contemporary. I think, and I believe, to really make a strong content, you can be contemporary. Even when it's a kind of a fictive thing, still in the fictive game scenario can be something what is linked to our reality, how we think. And if you have a political message, you can also put it into a fictive game. And this is something what I just want to bring you and create something that matters. I mean, of course you can make games which are only entertainment, but I think it's the right time that you also challenge people and not just do something what they know already. Maybe you can put your own ideas in there. You can put your ideas how everything is connected to you and how everything is changing your life. And I mean, it's making art is kind of as well, of course it has to do with skills, but it's also emotional. I mean, this is something, you are the artist, you bring something out what other people don't say. So this is something what you can also do in a video game then. And I'm just going to go through some kind of games now. We also had that at the Amaze Festival, so just to get an idea of what I'm talking about. Fallen is a game what is the Ukraine had this kind of war scenario, and this game is actually starts like a shooter game, like a first-person shooter game, and there's a very nice video, a let's play video, where also a Russian guy is playing it because everything is in Russian, where you take a weapon, you walk, you go there, you're a sniper, and then you shoot people. You actually shoot people. And every time when you shoot a person, there's something in Russian that says the whole biography of this person you shoot. And these are kind of real people. I mean, it's kind of a media art concept. An artist did this, Extra Gold did it. But I mean, it's still, I mean, this is something very, very strong. And you actually just get it after maybe 3 or 4 shots that actually this is a kind of biography of a real person who got shot in war. And I think this is a great message. As well, like Killbox was nominated for last year's festival. And it's also kind of this drone warfare. I mean, it's not every game has to be political, something like that, but I'm just telling you this is something what could be a way to express yourself as well. And you are 2 people playing against each other. One guy you are kind of an abstract bouncing ball, you're walking around. So you just play around, and then the other guy other person is a drone pilot, and you try to shoot this running person. And then you also shoot this person, and then you just realize that all this collateral damage, what you also, I mean, still like shooting someone from remote is also kind of horrible. And then you switch as well the position after you played the drone pilot, and then you understand as well what kind of craziness this whole drone war is. And I mean, it's definitely something what you can express much better in a video game, and much more stronger in a video game than probably in a movie. Leah and the Shadow of War is from Palestine, and it's a very short 10 minutes game, but it also reflects on real scenarios, what happened in Palestine to a family. And it's definitely a must play, even when the interactions are not kind of wow. But I mean, it's still, I mean, this game is very, very strong and makes you very emotional. And also, you're definitely going to reflect more what is going on in Israel and how this kind of conflict is. And it's also kind of, games can make something like that you question yourself then, you know? I mean, because, I mean, after this game, I definitely went to Wikipedia, and then I started as well reading a little bit more about it, and just like to find out what's going actually on there. So, you know, I mean, just getting a little bit of an interest in the world. Papers, Please, most of you probably know. It's a game where you actually play someone at the border, and you always give stamps, and you have to decide who you want to let in into this kind of utopian world or dystopian world. And then still, I mean, you also get bribed sometimes from some prostitutes or other people, agents who wants to get in. And then you can make some extra money because you have a starving family, because this dystopian world is also pretty fucked, like that you actually, you don't have enough money, and this helps you as well to have a better life. But if you get caught, you earn less money, and then people are dying in your family, and it's kind of this weird scenario. Phone Story from Model Industry is also a very nice example what gives an idea from where the phones are coming. It's in a playful way that you understand the phone, what you're using comes from, I mean, everybody knows probably, but I mean, it's important that we have this kind of games that brings maybe another generation of people this kind of misbeliefs and misunderstanding of how to be in the world. And Phone Story is a very strong title that also shows that this is not a good scenario, so as well for the future. Perfect Woman from Lea Schönfelder was winning the Most Amazing Game Award, and it's also a very nice game. It's very playful. You play with Kinect. You try to find a way to fit into this kind of form, because you have a kind of a silhouette, and then you have to try to fit in. And it's kind of reflecting how hard sometimes it is for women to get a job or to be a woman in this kind of world. And it's not so much social critical, it could be much more stronger, but it's kind of goes into this direction. It's not completely feminist, really, so strong feminist, but it's something like that people understand, oh yeah. And it's very, very playful and very good. So it starts conversations. Games should start conversations. Like Dysphoria. It's also a game from Anna Entropy. It's a great game about her change of gender, so with the additional hormonal treatment. So the steps where she went through, because some other people also, and also, I mean, especially in the games community, you have a kind of big community of transsexual people, and this is something what also means a lot for the community, that people are very open-minded, the games community everywhere in the world, so very welcoming and open-hearted. And it's a playground for a lot of people who also, I mean, I've just met some people at the Amaze Festival maybe 4 years ago, and then they come now as a woman to the festival and just change the gender, and they just use as well a festival and the community to express themselves and also to be in the right body. Then a game like Soccerland from Robert Young, it's also kind of a game what has more this, I mean, it's about, I mean, he's gay, and I mean, it's also the question how far these kind of games reach. You know, is it everything just a kind of a niche thing and we're just talking about it, or is it really something what goes out and other people gonna play it who actually play some AAA games? But I mean, this is definitely a kind of a statement and about homosexuality, and this is something what is very important to express yourself in this kind of way. Then Everything is Going to Be Okay. It was also a winner of this year's Amaze Festival Award. And just like to try to give you an idea of making new concepts, being very experimental. This is a kind of a game scene. So it's made like a folder, and you just like have thousands of pages, just 25 pages or something like that. But each page is a Each page is a game. So, I mean, you interact with this page. You get kind of a notion of something like that, what she wants to tell you. It's completely weird, and some kind of stuff I don't really get. But I think just the idea of making a game scene in a real game, this is something what I really, really like. And that's why, because it's completely new and it's kind of crossing the border and do something new. Flip Paper is also a cool game. It's from France. We were super happy to have it there, also the whole team, because they made a lot of action with screen printing, and I don't know, it's kind of an awesome thing. Flip Paper is an arcade where you put a paper on it. Somehow with the technology it's working that you can draw the level on this paper, and then you play pinball. So, and in the end of the whole festival, you have a huge gallery of different kind of levels, and you can also put the levels down and try to play other levels. It's just like out of the box. It's completely making an old arcade machine, more or less, because arcades are, it's not anymore this kind of newest thing. Putting something from the 80s, 90s into a new concept, using the new technology and make something completely fresh. And this is super fresh, and it makes so much fun. Like Vinyl Oz is also something what is amazing. So this is, it's a turntable with a record, projection mapping on it, and then you just have to, it's a pretty simple game. You have a spaceship, and then you shoot all these planets around, so, and by scratching. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's fantastic. It's so much fun. I mean, just like give you some ideas what you can actually do. All these kind of arcades maybe are changing in the future, that you actually go to an arcade and then you have something like Line Wobbler, you have Vinyl Oz, you have Flip Paper, all this kind of stuff, and suddenly you have a new generation of arcades everywhere in the world. And then, of course, other realities. I don't know if some of you know, in 2016, already a year ago. But I mean, the VR world is changing a lot. I did this kind of experiment where I stayed for 48 hours in virtual reality straight. And so I got very much hooked to this kind of VR thing. And I can talk about VR a lot now. But I think I also should find an end. But VR is definitely a great opportunity as well to create something completely new. You can actually, it's a present to all the artists and people who want to express something, because you definitely find now filmmakers, video game developers, musicians, everybody wants to have something with connected to VR. And I mean, it's to make something in VR, this is something what you can create a new art form maybe, and using this kind of technology, and I think it's a huge opportunity. This is something what makes me very happy, and that's also why we connected now to the Amaze Festival, this kind of other realities conference, and because I mean this is something, even when it's a technology, for me, it's like mobile, just that you have now the glasses on. But I mean, still it has new limitations, new rules, what you have to think about, and then you can create this kind of other realities. And for me as well, it's very much important that we create something what is colliding with other art forms, that we actually do something what is connected to maybe theater, connected to fashion, something like that, that we kind of create with our thinking of playfulness, create something in virtual reality what also makes sense in an artistic way. So for me, my expression because I'm not an artist, I'm doing events. But for me, because probably I can't do it better, I always generate positive chaos. It's completely, everything is kind of, even when it doesn't look like from far, but actually it's a complete chaos. The whole Amaze Festival is a complete chaos, but this is good. Because if you have a very, very good, perfect conference, there is no space for do something in between. For me, the imperfection is something what is so important, and what is so important in a lot of things what you probably do as an artist. You don't have to be perfect. I don't think perfection is something what you should gain. Something like that, you should just be satisfied what you're doing at the end. You should be happy. And somebody told me when I did this kind of end speech at the Amaze Award this year, And I was super nervous. I don't know why, but I was extremely nervous. And he just said to me, you have to be happy at the end when you go off stage. That's it. You actually have not to do a lot more, so you don't have to be nervous, you know. So positive chaos is something what I definitely say that's the best way. And, of course, I mean, this is something what I also was speaking before. Community. Community. I like the community. I was working in a lot of different medias. I was working in film. I was doing festivals in film. I was working with music festivals and everything. I did a lot of other stuff. I never studied. I was just working and made some experiences. And also made my own philosophy around stuff. But I mean, the community, the games community, especially the independent games community, is something what is so great. I mean, every time when I'm doing something as well in Berlin, and these are the locations which are actually having a lot of stuff going on all the time, and they say, this is one of the best community. I mean, the best people, because they're relaxed, they're friendly, they're not aggressive, they're very open-minded. And this is something what makes me so happy, to have this crowd around Amaze, and as well you probably also have around in any other festival and events. And also internationally via Facebook and Twitter. Everybody's very helpful. There is actually no competition. It's everything like you get help. You always get help. If you ask the right questions, you get help. Of course, I mean, there is a lot of negative stuff as well happening, but I think it's not happening in our independent games community. Maybe when you go into the game industry, this is something maybe different, but I think the indie games community worldwide is just a huge family, and it's not just a family, it's also, for me, it's kind of an art movement. It's also a movement where I think in the future there will be a lot of new stuff coming out, and also more and more people gonna play our games, also the small games, also the poetic games, which are probably you can just find on itch.io. But I mean, it's something like that. We just have to build on it, and we don't have to give up. And I think the most important message is always, because we are not so big at the moment, we just have to do it together. Yeah. Now, I'm gonna cut some watermelon slices and answer some questions. So if you want to have a watermelon, you just come here and get one. Whoa! Oh my God! Yeah! Yeah, thank you very much, but you can ask me some questions. Feel free. Also come here. Whoa. Please ask questions.
¿Tenéis alguna pregunta? Venga, animaros. Lidia, ¿estás por ahí? No te veo. Lidia, si alguien...
Who wants to have one? No one wants watermelon. Please. And bring a question with you. For each question, one watermelon slice. It's a deal. Yeah. You don't have to ask a question. Welcome. So who else? You can ask me questions in between. Yes.
Hay algunas compañías como Steam que tienen ciertos programas para ayudar a comunidades, ayudar a estudios indies a publicar juegos. Sí.
So Steam has certain features to help indie community.
Y hace poco pusieron una pequeña barrera monetaria para publicar juegos. ¿Crees que eso ayuda a que la gente que realmente le importa lo que hace tenga una mayor facilidad para ser vistos? ¿O crees que eso cierra posibilidades a la gente que no tiene ese dinero para gastar?
And some time ago, like a few weeks, hace una semana, ¿no? A few weeks ago, Steam put like a barrier for people to pay to be able to publish their games. Do you think that helps the indie community, or do you think that's es malo para ellos?
Sí, quiero decir, ¿eso ayuda a la gente que realmente le importa, que invierte su dinero en hacerlo, o crees que hace que la gente que no tiene ese dinero no pueda?
Do you think that helps because people who really are into it are putting their investment, their money into it? Or do you think it actually doesn't help because people who don't have money, who independent companies who do not have money, cannot
it so
apply
much?
for the game?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of discussion around it, and some people also said that maybe it's just $100, right? I mean, it's not a lot of money. So I mean, it's of course it's money, but I mean, it's not 1,000 euro or dollars. And some people said maybe it should be much higher because there also were a kind of discussion because of this asset flip or something like that you have a lot of copies and whatever of your game as well in the same store. I mean, $100 will never avoid something like that, you know, but it will happen anyway all the time. But I mean, definitely what can change that you actually have some kind of regulation or curatorship, a better curatorship, that you have a better store. You have a better store element. And I think it's not a bad way. So is Greenlit now over completely? It's only direct access now. Okay. The only sad thing is that, sorry. The only sad thing is because, I mean, with this Greenlit is something like that you can build a community, right? And now with this direct access, you have to have a community already. Otherwise, it's kind of pretty hard, or you need to have a strong publisher who's doing good marketing for you. Otherwise, it's kind of as well a tricky part. I mean, you can do early access. This is also one thing. But the early access is as well still doable, right? Also not anymore.
I think, okay, it's only
Okay, wow. Yeah. Yeah, some of the things maybe have to change, or maybe it has to get better. But I mean, still, I mean, $100, I think it's not a big thing.
I think you can get the $100 back later.
Ah, okay. Yeah, if you earn money anyway, you get it. Yeah. You want one?
Mi pregunta era parecida.
No.
Mi pregunta era parecida, en realidad, a lo que ha dicho mi compañero, que ahora mismo estamos en un momento donde todo el mundo está haciendo juegos, donde el mercado está francamente saturado, no solo por juegos buenos, sino también por, como ha dicho, asset flippers y gente que lo único que quiere es aprovechar el tirón. Mi pregunta básicamente es, más allá de Steam y de las plataformas así conocidas, ¿hay alguna forma de hacer tu juego conocido o es simplemente lo echas al mar y a ver si hay suerte?
So his question is, in a world nowadays where it's all saturated with independent games and games in general, and some people really only do it for the money, do you think the only way is to throw your boat to the sea of Steam and see what happens, or there are better ways?
I think it's never happening like that. Because I was thinking, I mean, of course, you have to find a publisher somehow. I think it's to have a publisher nowadays is not a problem. So I think in the past it was something like, oh yeah, you have a publisher, you're not indie anymore, or you're not independent anymore. But I think this is something what is not the thinking of 2017. No, I mean it changed. Is it me?
No, but maybe.
Oh yeah, it's me. It changed. I think in 2012 that actually then this kind of transition is with, oh yeah, we're going to look for a publisher and we're still independent, and especially now we have Devolver. And but anyway, I mean, I think you have to build a kind of a brand around yourself and as well around your game. So I mean, you have to build your own community and you have to do a lot of work during the development time. And then you also can be successful on Steam. But I mean, still, I mean, I don't know how many games they throw out every year and every month. I think it's too many. And I think it's also lacking about this curatorship, because still, if you have a curator kind of thing going on in Steam, but yeah, I mean, are the people are really important who are kind of the curators? People are following them? I think it's not me. I think you should go to a lot of festivals with your game, show it to people, and I think this is the most important thing, that you connect to the community, to the independent...
Making yourself known.
Yeah, right. As a person, yeah. I mean, you're doing this game, and you probably gonna sell the games best. Especially, I mean, in our world. I think it's in the independent games world. So I think this is working well. I mean, this is something what Rami Ismail is doing only. He's just traveling around and talking a lot of cool stuff, and this is why he knows everyone, and Flambeer is known, and of course the games are cool, but I mean it's more or less because of him, because he's traveling around, he's known. I have a lot of watermelon. You don't have to ask a question to get a watermelon. What? Okay.
So, hi. So I wanted to ask something. We're talking about video games overall, but I wanted to ask about a certain part of the video game industry that I don't know if we're really talk about. I mean, the concept artist. We are talking about making video games and programming and everything, but for concept artists that I mean, personally, for example, I don't know how to program, and I'm really bad at it. So, but we have some ideas that maybe we could be or concept artists or scenario writers. How could we sell our ideas best or convince something? Is there any possibility to convince someone or a publisher or something? Just because usually we are like a subject or like employees to a bigger project. So if you're a creative, but you're more like the graphic bar narrative stuff, then how is working things for us? I mean,
I think it's I mean, as I know, is art or concept art is very important for video games. Without a good concept art, also the video game is going to be very abstract, and it's also nice. I mean, it's maybe a different thing. But I mean, if you make good art, this is something what the people want. You know, I mean, this is also, again, you have to go around. You have to present yourself. You have to show your stuff, what you do. And it's all about, as well, when you're a game writer or something like that, you also show your stories. And somehow it's always kind of connecting. I mean, festivals are helpful, especially something like the Amaze Festival, or even other festivals like Screen Shake. There are so many other festivals, or game jams, especially game jams. I mean, I didn't talk about game jams, but game jams actually are a very good opportunity to meet new people, to also maybe start a new project, which will be on Steam maybe in 3 years. I mean, this is something what is happening, I mean, all the time. Game jam games are then suddenly a good selling product. I mean, it happened a lot of times. Superhot was a game jam game. It was nothing else. So, and they just continued, and they get some funding, and now it's a kind of a big success. It's a kind of a killer app for VR, people talk. And I mean, this is something what just, it's about you. So, you have to go to events, you have to meet the people, and then they also see your quality, and then you get into this whole thing. And also you can ask, I mean, Twitter, everywhere, find people. I don't know how big the community in Valencia is, but I mean, it's... how many people?
It's bigger than you think.
How many people?
It's bigger than I thought, really. Because recently I made some months ago, I and some companions made investigation projects about video games in Valencia, and there are quite a bit of developers. I didn't thought there were so many, but they are. We interview a developer from a company now called Cadness Game Studio or something like that, and it gave. No, I don't know. It was very interesting, and yeah.
So, just a question: do you have jobs here? So for video game developers, if you finish whatever your studies, where you go? So I mean, it's
Germany.
yeah. No, but also in Berlin you don't have a lot, you know. Of course you have Wuga and now Ubisoft is coming, but I mean it's a big success when the big companies are coming to a city. So, I mean it's always a question because I mean we have in Berlin, I think every year we have 2,000 new game designers coming out of school. I don't know where they go. Yeah, but I mean, it's still, I mean, then they're starting maybe their own companies and doing their own projects and find themselves together in doing another job, and maybe then they're starting from scratch with a good idea.
Thank you.
A ver, preguntaría en inglés, pero igual me chapurreo mucho.
Yeah, more of this.
Bueno,
How is the watermelon actually? Are you one? If you have another question, please.
We have two more. Give me
Good, so refreshing. We did on for the festival, the Amaze Festival, we did a watermelon game jam. That's why I'm always bringing now watermelons. So we had at the end, I think, 35 games on itch. Very cool stuff. And we presented as well all the games at the Amaze
pues
Festival. Sorry.
Mi pregunta era un poco de... has hablado mucho de todo lo que viene a ser las presentaciones, los juegos que se han presentado y todo eso. Y yo quería saber si has participado en el desarrollo de alguno de estos juegos o algún otro y saber un poco cómo es tu experiencia, no a la hora de la presentación ni del ambiente y tal, sino del desarrollo en sí.
Okay. So apart from all the conferences that you make and the events that you make, and all the games that you've shown, have you actively taken part in any of them, or have you ever made games?
No.
And how was your experience?
I mean, I'm not a game designer, and as I said, I'm also not an artist. So I mean, I'm just doing this festival and all this stuff around. I wish, and I mean, of course, I mean, when you play games and you have ideas, thousands of ideas, you write it down. When I have time, then I'm gonna make a game. So, but not yet. No. I mean, how it works is all this kind. Most of the games I've showed, they're submission. These are submissions for the Amaze Award, and this also shows that the direction of the Amaze Awards is kind of this alternative, independent underground games, and also political or thought-provoking. This is something we are actually looking for. But we also have now for the award some kind of long feature award. This is the long feature, and the digital moment, so where we're also looking for games which are actually a little different from what you have seen here. Like Kentucky Road Zero or something like that. You have something like that and suddenly as well submitted. I mean, also the winner of the Most Amazing Game Award 2017 was Everything from David O'Reilly. So it's, I mean, we have some very alternative games as well in the selection, but as well we try to get as well more of the other games in there with bigger budgets and bigger teams.
In line with that, you have said before that you cannot tell some indie developers that they are not indie because they have a publisher. But where do you draw the line?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the most important thing is that the content. the content has to be independent. The content has this kind of feel that this is something. I mean, just a super easy example. I think Candy Crush or something like that is definitely not indie or something. All this kind of. I mean, this is stupid games. Even when the game mechanic is fantastic or something like that, but this is something what I don't want to see at the Amaze Festival.
Another thing is that before you asked about indie festivals here in Spain, and I know one. I've not been there, but they are called the Indie Burger Games.
Okay.
They meet in a burger, and they vote which games they like the most in some categories and so on.
So it's where is it?
Each time is in a place. I think every time there is a kind of bigger conference or meeting like the Game Lab now in the end of June. They meet next to the place on the nearest burger
That's good.
to meet up.
I mean, the most important thing is, especially for growing communities, is doing game jams. I mean, Berlin, when I started in Berlin 2008, there were maybe, of course you always have students and you have people who are doing games there, but they're working in companies. But that you have a crowd of independent game developers who are interested in kind of this games and want to maybe make their own games and also gonna bring it to Steam. And now we have maybe 200 people. It's not a lot. I mean, Berlin is quite big. But still, I mean, this is a strong community. And they're traveling around. They have their own philosophy, how they want to make games. And it's only because, I mean, we have regularly events like Berlin Mini Jam. It's just an 8-hour game jam where people meet every month, one topic, boom. And suddenly you have 100 people there sitting and doing games. Welcome.
No, no te preocupes. Tengo buena voz, no te preocupes. I just have a question. Like, I saw like some of these video games, and I really love it. But for example, that kind of the vinilos, or the one that is about the pinball game. Like, I mean, like, how do you, if I want to buy one of those, how it's supposed that I'm gonna get the support? Because, for example, it's really easy when you connect it to a PC or when you are playing in a console. But these kind of concepts that are really like that is technology that I don't know how to say, like with physical. With physical interface that has to be bought and that stuff. Like, how is, like, for example, for that kind of people that wants to like sell this, how is possible for them to sell it for, because it's really, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, this is what they do. They're traveling. They're traveling from festival to festival. Like Flip Paper, they get invited. They get whatever budget, like a band. Like they are 2 people or 3 people. They bring everything with them. They say, whatever, this costs 2,000 euro. We're going to come to Valencia. We're going to show it at whatever event. So this is how they earn money. So like an artist, when you have an installation, art installation, you say, okay, I need X sum of money, then I bring this art. And also you fly me in. So this is how it works. And, or you try to go into production. So and make more of this kind of games. And maybe you find someone who wants to buy it. I don't know how much this will cost. So no idea, but as an example, Robin Baumgarten, who did Line Wobbler, this kind of 1D LED dungeon crawler, and he's selling it for 500 euro, something like one piece. So with the whole LED strip and the wobbler and all the tech in there. So and then you have it at home. and play. You don't have to go to festivals anymore to play it.
Another question that I have is like, for example, have you seen like there was another like game about like some years ago that was really censored in a lot of countries because like it's about a sociopath that wants to kill everybody before he gets killed. Like that kind of political incorrect video games. What do you think? Where do you think that there is? Do you think that there is a limit for that kind of expressions?
I mean, it's kind of a moral thing or something, ethics. You know, I mean, we are living in a society. If you make some right-wing content or something like that, I think this is not okay. You will never have something like that at my festival. So I mean, it's I have a kind of a political thing, and I mean, I have my ethics, and if this doesn't match, you're out, you know. And we definitely gonna say this is something what is not okay. So I mean, this is also something like that our society is also proving it if this is okay or not. And at least then you have some kind of regulations, age regulations, or for index or something like that. Yeah, I mean some of the stuff I don't understand, especially when you have some policies like iTunes, who actually say that nude content is not okay but I mean they have this kind of regulations, and you have actually very good sex games or sex games which are kind of going into this kind of gender discussion, and just because of there's a blank breast or something like that, or penis, then suddenly it's not anymore in the store. This is something what is ridiculous, because I mean, yeah.
Thank you.
¿Puedo hacer otra? Yo voy a hablar en español porque no... mi pregunta es que aquí se nos fomenta muchísimo el trabajo en grupo y en equipo, pero la industria del videojuego indie ha demostrado una y otra vez que juegos hechos por una sola persona consiguen transmitir un mensaje o funcionan a veces incluso mejor que los hechos por un grupo, como Stardew Valley, Undertale y demás. ¿Opinas que cada una de las cosas, si trabajar en grupo o trabajar de forma individual tiene ventajas e inconvenientes, o que una es superior a la otra? Stardew Valley. Sí.
So we've here at the university and in the industry, people usually tell you that you should be able to work in teams. The teamwork is enhanced and promoted by the university and the industry. But actually, he said the games made by one person have more feeling and work better, like Star Moon Valley. And what do you think about those games? What do you think about one person making a single game?
I mean, it's definitely when one person is doing everything, I mean, it's a very personal thing. I mean, it's personal art style, personal music, everything is kind of bringing all the components together, and everything comes out of his mind and with his skills. And especially, I mean, when it's a personal story, and you have a lot of autobiographical games nowadays, people are talking about their life and how they see things. I mean, this is definitely something what is very, very strong, and is definitely more emotional as well.
Me vale la respuesta. Gracias.
¿Hablo yo? ¿Puedo cogerlo? Hi, I would talk to you about Undertale, you know the game? Undertale?
Undertale, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That it was made by one boy
Yeah.
only. And I want to ask you, what do you think, who can repercute? Me inventa el verbo, no pasa nada. Repercute? How can influence that now you don't have to know programming because you can do anything else? Like you don't need to know programming to actually do a game?
I mean, a very good example as well, David Kanaga, who did Oki-Spiel. This is everything. Fernando Ramallo, he did Panoramical, and he actually made all this kind of setting for him because he's actually a musician, and he's doing music for games. And he always wanted to make a game. So what he made a game which is also very musical because it's an opera, and you play an opera, and it's very beautiful. And he just used assets. But of course, he can't program stuff, and he's also not a good artist. So somebody else made all the framework that he actually just can tell the story. And this is doable, and you don't have to know programming at all. And nowadays, you just have to have some people who are helping you, probably. And I mean, it's always your decision as an artist, if you or as somebody who wants to create something. I think it's nice to work on with yourself on projects, but as well to get to the next level, probably it's nice to work with more people together. and because then it's just becoming a bigger project. So because more minds connecting to this project, and then suddenly it's not anymore your fault. It's more like it's a social project because you have a team around you, and you can learn from the team as well. I think it's nice to share and to build with other people something together. But of course, I mean, it's if you want to do something by yourself, it's great. I mean, there are a lot of success stories as well. I mean, in a way, Minecraft was done by himself, more or less. It's doable. Yeah.
Vale, yo tengo una pregunta y es, ¿crees que el tag juego es un estigma para que se le considere culturalmente al videojuego? No, o sea, quiero decir, la palabra videojuegos, si no tuviera juegos, quizá no sería tan relacionado con el entretenimiento y con algo relativamente infantil y eso. A ver cómo preguntas eso.
Do you think the word game put into a product makes that product less accessible to people? Like using the hashtag game, like this is a game, so this might be for kids, this is not my thing. Do you think that makes some people not to go into games?
I mean, a lot. I mean, it's also it's of course it's sorry, just yeah, okay. Yeah.
Sí.
Sure.
El hecho de que pongan el tag o la parte de juegos no se, o sea, como que es un estigma para que no se tome lo suficientemente en serio como cultura. ¿Vale?
So do you think the tag game is like a kind of stigma, not to put that product as a cultural thing, not to be considered culture in any?
I mean, I think probably it's depending as well on generations. You know, I mean, if you, of course, game is for some. I'm a game designer, so people are just like probably. I mean, depending in which kind of scene you are running around. But I mean, it's when you're a game designer, probably you're just a super nerd or something like that. People have this kind of imagination. But it's not true. It's always changing a lot, and also someone who is doing film or doing music is also kind of a super nerd in music or in film. And game is definitely something what is still in Germany not a really good word. I don't know how it's here in Spain, but you don't use the name game, right? You use what is it called? Juego. It's for kids. It's for kids. Yeah, the same is. It's changing nowadays as well because press is writing a little bit more as well, more reflective. The critics on the games are as well in a way that you understand that adults are writing it, and it's really something like that. It becomes a medium for adults as well, and I mean. It's changing in the future anyway, because I mean, people who are kind of growing up now with all this kind of games or with this media and with this influence, they are actually this kind of people who are deciding what is good or bad in the future. So us, we are kind of, we are doing it, we're preparing for the future for all the other, for the kids. So I mean, probably the games is the thing, movies will be out, so probably. Or VR is the thing, and games and movies are out, so nobody is interested anymore. All the funding goes into games. Yeah.
Do you think that a video game has to be funny?
Has to be funny?
Yes.
I think comedy is a very good thing. What somehow I think there are not many games where it's a good comedy in there. That is really kind of as well, like we said, something like that. It's maybe some childish comedy, maybe, but to really have this kind of adult comedy. I mean, you find it maybe in accounting, something like that. William Perk did something like that. It's a VR game. It's very nice. I mean, also Stanley Parable in a way has also this kind of. I think for me, is also kind of comedy elements in there. So it's kind of interesting. And there are much more games, hopefully, in the future, which are more funny. But in an intellectual, funny way. Not just stupid funny. But even, I mean, it's Dumb and Dumber is also a very good movie. And yeah, Ace Ventura.
Okay, thank you very much,
I like
Thorsten.
comedy.
Maybe we have 1,000 questions more, but we have to stop a little bit because we are going to change our guest. Vamos a cambiar de invitado y vamos a hacer un break, micro break para comernos la sandía que quede, ¿vale? Los que no habéis preguntado no pasa nada, podemos ahora cortar sandía hasta que os la comemos y mientras vamos preparando un poco el staff de Edu y así podemos seguir un poco la jornada. Os recuerdo que hay en la mediateca, que es la habitación de enfrente, justo donde están los ordenadores, hay una serie de gameplays y juegos que han desarrollado estudiantes de la Facultad de Bellas Artes. Tengo que decir que algunos estudiantes hay otros juegos que son de estudiantes de informática y hay que aplaudirlos a los de Bellas Artes porque han hecho juegos sin ningún tipo de programador, ¿eh? Lo han hecho ellos a pulmón libre y por lo tanto creo que es para hacerles un pequeño aplauso, aunque sea con deditos o, ¿no?